Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Ohio Business Spotlight. I'm so excited today to have 401 Advisor LLC, Jim Kilgore, in the house. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I am glad to be here. Appreciate it.
All right, Jim. Jim's a personal friend of mine. I actually connected him with Bill DeShirko, the founder of 401 Advisor, and they hit it off, which was really cool to me because I gained a super close friend, and he manages the investments that I have. But Jim, so I'm going to let you tell your story, and I'm going to tip my hand a little bit because I know that you were in the Air Force and you retired from the Air Force, and you can talk a little bit about that later. But
Sure.
how did you, background, this podcast right here, business owners are going to be watching it. So not
Sure.
only are they curious about, how you do your business, what some of your beliefs are, what some of your values are, but they want to know, when was that point in time when you decided to press start and hit go? Because I think all of us, Tony being a business owner and myself being a business owner, and business owners that have struggled this, what was the point after you're out of the Air Force when you decided to press start, hit go, overcome every fear, worry that comes up with it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Greg. But it's even before I got out of the Air Force, before I hit that button. I was always kind of an entrepreneurial kind of guy when I was growing up here in Dayton. I mowed grass in high school. I didn't have, the traditional job. I had more money than all my friends because I worked for myself. And I would get out of school, go to track or cross country or wrestling practice, get home, and then go mow a couple of lawns until it got dark. So, after a 20-year career in the Air Force, as I got near to my retirement, I knew I was not going to go work at the base. I wasn't going to get a job as a contractor. I was going to start my own business, going to work for myself. So it was toward the end of my Air Force career that I made that decision. Now, coming into this business was a little bit later than that, because when I retired, I actually started a handyman business and started just working with the tool bag, fixing things at people's homes. And being a disabled vet, that was catching up with me kind of quick, doing water heaters and stuff like that. I back in the 90s, I opened an E-Trade account and started trading my own, trading my own money, trading stocks. And so as this idea of coming into, financial advising, financial planning began to, kind of fester in my mind, I just walked into a Raymond James office with a resume in my hand and a suit on, and I happened to catch the owner and and said, "Hey, what do I have to do what you do?" And we talked for about 2 hours. And before I walked out, he said, "You know what? If you go through all the licensing and everything, I'll hire you." And that's what happened. I did it. I went and took all the testing. Took me about 4 months, start to finish, to get my securities licensing, life and health insurance license. I went ahead and took the property and casualty license as well, and knocked that out in about 4 months, and walked back in the door. And sure enough, I had a job.
That's
I know,
amazing.
Tony, I know you get the next question right here, but I'm going to ask. So, knowing Jim's background, do we title this podcast? This is a Tony decision, Jim. So, Tony and I are going to talk for a minute.
Okay.
Do we label this podcast Fix It Guy to Finance Guy? Is that?
This is why I'm in charge of the podcast naming.
All right. That's
Well, it's funny. The name of my handyman business was I've Got a Guy Home Services. Because everybody
that's
says, "Oh, I got a guy. Oh, I got a guy."
One of the things that I'm intrigued about as I look at kind of the arc of your career is that throughout time, you've known when to pivot. There are a lot of leaders who are listening who are always curious about, is this the time to make the move? Is this time to pivot? Right? You're even, and this is breaking news. You're expanding your office. You're buying the building you're in. You're going to expand your office. You're going to pivot again. So, Jim, in the midst of all the things that have happened in your life, from the Air Force to the Fix-It to the Edward James and to now, how do you know when it's time to pivot?
Well, I pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the industry. And for the last few years in the financial planning industry, as they do client surveys, asking what do you want from your financial planner? What do you want from your financial advisor? Somewhere in the neighborhood of 92 to 93% of the time, people say tax advice, tax planning.
Wow.
I want help with tax issues. And you hear that enough times and it starts ringing true in your head. Now, I did taxes as a volunteer. The whole time I was in the Air Force, I volunteered. A lot of people don't know this, but they have a volunteer tax office on base. Every tax season, I volunteer to do that. Have done hundreds of tax returns as a volunteer. So I started a tax practice a couple years ago just to kind of get back into it. But part of the expansion that I'm going to do, Tony, is expanding and opening up a tax practice alongside of the financial planning, because so many of my clients need it and want it.
That's so good. A lot of people might look at something like that and go, wow, Jim, it's a crazy season to expand because, the market's doing what the market does, and financial planners are paid by how the market goes, right? And how well you're taking care of people's money. So what kind of courage, what kind of dialogue do you have with yourself when you're like, no, even though things feel really kind of weird, I'm going to expand anyway because I just believe in what I'm being called to do?
Yeah. So, I have a servant's heart, and, I served my country for 20 years. I came into this business and because I wanted to continue to serve people. And yes, the stock market can be crazy. But I always remind people that there are things that you can control and things that you can't control. You can't control what goes on in Washington, D.C. You can't control what goes on in the stock market, but you can control your household budget and how much you're investing on a consistent basis. If you're investing consistently over a long period of time through the ups and downs of the stock market, these little gyrations like we've had over the last couple months are very small on the radar when it comes to those things. If you're wasting money, paying too much in tax, that's money that's gone forever. If you fail to do your tax return right, money lost in the stock market can recover. Money lost to taxes is gone forever.
Come on.
Yeah. So those are the kinds of things that I help my clients with.
I'll tell you what, one of the things you said was you served your country for 20 years and you continue to serve, not just with your servant's heart, but you serve through the Warren County Veterans Commission. And I've had an opportunity to hear some of the things. I always tell business owners, the community wants to know and see what else you're doing because they want to do business with people that are serving the community, serving a sector of the community, whether that be veterans, whether it be first responders, teachers, things of that nature. I really love how you have been involved with the Warren County Veterans. And I want you to just share a little bit of what was your segue into that right there?
So I had a really good friend who was a recruiting buddy of mine, and we went to recruiting school. And I stayed in recruiting after my first initial tour, and Kyle didn't. Kyle got pulled back to his career field. Well, that was around when Afghanistan kicked off. Kyle was a combat medic in the Air Force, got embedded with an group of Army guys, and he experienced a traumatic thing while he was in Afghanistan. His unit was ambushed. I don't want to bring down the mood here, but this is, you asked, how
Yeah.
come I
No,
got
no, no.
involved in this.
Do it.
So my buddy came back with severe PTSD. His life was being destroyed, alcoholism, marriage falling apart, and he committed suicide. And it was like losing a brother. And that had a tremendous impact on me, and still does. And so when I retired from the Air Force, I wanted to get involved and stay involved in veterans issues. And so I joined some of the service organization, AMVETS, VFW, American Legion, and an opportunity presented itself 7-8 years ago for me to apply for a position on the Warren County Veterans Service Commission. And I applied, got appointed, and some of the things we do there, emergency assistance for veterans. They come in and they need financial assistance. We help them file disability claims. I'm on the Warren County Veterans Suicide Prevention Coalition. I participate in the Warren County Veteran Intervention Court for veterans who, in many cases, are going through similar issues as Kyle, and they get in trouble with the law, whether it be for alcohol, drugs, or maybe domestic violence. And this court is a specialized docket that is rehabilitation for these veterans. And it's amazing to see the transformation that takes place in their lives once they get through that program, and they're back out as redeemed back into society, and they have their confidence back. And it's amazing to be a part of that.
Well, I know Tony's going to take you more down your career path, question-wise, but I just wanted to say, I hear business owners say so many times, and you guys can chime in as to whether you do. Everybody always thinks, I want to keep my personal life separate from my business life. I don't want people so much knowing some of the things that I do personally, but when you serve in a capacity like that, or in a capacity like a service organization like Centerville Optimist, I think it's important that the community know that, because then they start to understand your DNA. They see that something you are so passionate about, it's an automatic assumption to think, if Jim is that passionate about something that does not support his family, but it's something he loves, oh my gosh, how much more passionate will he be with the thing that feeds his family? So anyway, Tony, you can take it right, keep it going down the career path. But man, Jim, thank you for that right there. I love that.
Well, I'm going to follow up on what you were talking about, Greg. Jim, you shared a very vulnerable and authentic reminder of hard days. And so a lot of the business owners have hard days. And so I'm always curious, what are some of the things that you do to overcome hard days? Obviously not nearly as serious as a brother, succumbing to PTSD, but there are a lot of hard days, and certainly in the marketplace that's real, and certainly as a business owner that's even more real.
Sure. Well, it's my faith in Christ. I wake up every morning, no matter what the day is like, good, bad, indifferent. I follow the Lord, and I read the Word. I try to put it in my heart, and I try to walk each day in that belief. And no matter what challenges face me every day, God is still on the throne.
That's good. When you think about building out your team, right? How do you create that kind of the team environment? How do you build culture in your office? Like, you're kind of you have a practice, right? So that means people are dependent upon you, but they deal with the people around you. How do you figure all that out?
Yeah, I think every business needs to have some core values, and people do business with people that they know, that they like, and they trust. And something that Greg said a couple of minutes ago about being authentic. I like to eat hamburgers and watch football. I don't wear a suit and tie to work. I personally think they're a little stuffy, and maybe there's people out there that they like to wear a suit and tie to work. That's just not me. The kind of people that I like to deal with are people who love their families, love their children, have integrity, are hardworking, and are just trying to provide for their own future and reach some financial independence. And so I think what guides me is my sense of integrity and compassion that I have towards others to help them in a very complicated area of their life.
Tony, before you wind it up, before you land it, I just wanted to point out or just kind of say, boy, if you look at the common thread, us three have never been on the phone together or on a podcast together, but the common thread is I can speak for Jim and I can speak for Tony here too, not afraid to have difficult conversations with clients. I've been a client of Tony's in his coaching business, not afraid to have difficult conversations if it is going to both personally and professionally move you forward. Jim, I've been on the side where you've worked to hold me accountable financially. Business owners so often, and Tony, if you can dovetail this into the landing, that's fine. If not, if it's just a piece that stands on its own, but business owners willing to speak the truth, even though it is extremely difficult, I think is a rare, I want it to be, I don't want it to be rare. I want it to be prevalent. I want it to be the norm. I want it to be what takes place all the time. But I know, Tony, that's how you've moved your business forward, not afraid to have the difficult conversations. And I've kind of tried to follow your mentorship. And Jim, I see the same thing with you. I think if business owners hear anything, I want them to hear that right there. Boy, get that conversation in, especially if you know it's going to benefit them.
Sure.
One of the things that is interesting is about the measure of success, right? And when you hear what Greg had to say about hard conversations, how do you measure at the end of the year of whether or not 401 Advisor LLC was successful?
Ooh, great question. Like you say, stock markets go up, stock markets go down, and people are faced with difficult decisions year round. And, when I meet with some clients that are having a rough time and they walk away from that conversation and they say, man, that guy really cares. I don't want people to think that, there's this desk between me and them. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. I empathize with people, and whether the market is up or the market is down, I measure my success with how many people did I help advance the ball 10 yards down the field closer to retirement, closer to their financial goals. I talk about the Lord a lot with folks because not everybody that walks into my office is having a good time. Sometimes they've lost a spouse. Sometimes they've just lost their father. And being that financial advisor that will cry with you, shoulder the load. That's how I measure success.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Jim, how can all of the Ohio Business Spotlight family get in touch with you? How can they learn more about you? Where can they subscribe to your podcast and all the information that you're putting out in the world?
Yeah. So you can shoot me an email at jim@401advisor.com. We have a newsletter that we send out typically weekly. The 401 Advisor podcast is available on all the podcasting platforms that are out there, Apple, Spotify. You can give us a call here at the office, 937-434-1790, and we're located at 203 West Franklin Street, right across the street from Magzig Middle School.
It's
Love it.
crazy that you can sign up for. It's crazy you can sign up for their newsletter without even being a client. I shared their newsletter when some things that took place in the market related to executive decisions were published, and so many people had questions, and their newsletter was so informative. So I hope people, if for nothing else, at least get introduced with their thought process that way right there.
All right, Jim, last question we love to ask people. What are 3 businesses in Southwest Ohio that you love to support? 3 businesses that you're a raving fan of that would be perfect guests on the Ohio Business Spotlight?
I love Warped Wing. The food at the Warped Wing in Springboro is fantastic.
Amazing.
All right.
Howard Hanna Commercial Realty in right here in Centerville. Bob Caperna is a commercial realtor, is a friend of mine. He's helping me find some folks to rent space here in the building. And I think my IT company, Harbor Technology Consulting, great family-owned business, and they've done great work for us here. Of course, Greg Fay Insurance, everybody knows that, but those are 3 that have probably not been mentioned on here before. I thought it went without saying, Greg.
Went without saying. Jim, thank you so much for being so generous with your time, your heart, your vulnerability. This is what it's all about. Growing small business gives, spotlighting small businesses together.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys.